Thank you for meeting with me today. I promise we'll make good use out of all the work that you just had to do. So last time we talked about reviewing the data we both collected. Did you happen to have that on you?
Yeah, I do. It worked out pretty well, I think.
Okay, thanks. All right. I'll make sure to. I could put this in a graph later, so we can look it up easier later. Um, but yeah, no, that's great. That's good to hear. When I did my own observations, I was looking for the same off-task behavior we discussed last week. Based on my observations, it looks like Jill averaged on-task behavior around 30% of the time in 30 minutes during 5 sessions of independent work, from what I gathered. Would you say that that data is consistent with what you have and what you've seen in the past?
Yeah, that's almost exactly what I got as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think my data should say like 30 to 40% on task behavior on average.
On average, yeah.
That's generally what I expected.
Oh, okay. Awesome. That was actually what I was going to ask about next. Let's go ahead and look at some of the information you gathered. Thanks for this, by the way. I know it's not easy to focus so much on one kid when you have a class of 30. I promise I'll put it all to good use. So you mentioned that the data you collected was generally what you expected or something along the lines of that? I was just curious about that.
Yeah, Joe is off task like a lot of the time, especially in independent work. So
Right.
the results saying that she's only on task about 30% of the time didn't surprise me. So I guess it's good to confirm that.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. We want to make sure that we know as much detail as possible. So even if we like hypothesize something, we want to make sure we can confirm that. And so that was kind of our top priority there in a way.
Gotcha.
So just to make sure that we're on the same page, your data and your experience in the past working with her, and generally like they line up with on-task behaviors during independent work, and generally all report that it's poor, right? It's just there's a lot to be desired there, I guess.
Yeah. If I had to sum it up, she really struggles with independent work, and most of the time she tries to speak with her classmates too.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that independent work seems to be like the antecedent, which we talked about a little bit last week, and it's always a trigger to our off-task behavior, which like it seems to be that her preferred like off-task behavior is like speaking to peers, and sometimes you said I think.
Yeah. She gets distracted other times too, but generally it's not problematic if she does.
Yeah.
It's almost exclusively when it's like during independent time and she's like distracting other people, and I think it does really just happen during independent time, and I think our data collection helped me realize it.
That's good. Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, when you put it into perspective, where there's these short periods of like 30 minutes for your independent time, like even like 5 minutes or something ends up being a lot. So I yeah that it is helpful to like contextualize it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about it a little last week, but with our observations in mind, what kind of consequences do you think Jill gets out of like talking to her peers or being off task or talking to you?
Like punishments or
Well, not exactly. So consequences don't have to be negative, but can also be just something she gained from her actions. So, like, what do you think is different that might motivate her to act that way during independent work? Like, is there something that she's gaining out of it, whether it's negative or positive?
oh, I see. Well, I think when we work as a class, I
Mhm.
count on her a lot just to make sure she's paying attention.
Right.
And when we take that away during independent work, she seeks that. Like, maybe she seeks that attention in someone else, so maybe attention.
That makes sense. So, like, normally she's being consistently, like, kind of stimulated. You're talking to her, working with the class, and so she feels more attention on her. But then when you stop working, it's kind of like, uh, you know, she loses that, I guess. Let me see. So, and just to make sure we're on the same page, it kind of feels like her being off task might not be so much like task avoidance, but more like attention-seeking behavior.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually don't give students a lot of attention during independent work time because
Mm-hmm.
I usually get work done, like
Right.
catch up with grading.
Of course, you're busy. Yeah.
Doing, answering emails and all that.
Uh huh.
Yeah. I think when it's too quiet and I'm not giving her direct instruction, she looks to get that attention from her peers.
Okay. That's great because I have similar information to my observation, so I'm glad our data lines up. So to summarize, the antecedent or trigger would probably be independent work, or in like a way, I guess a reduction of attention from group to independent work. Um, and then the behavior would be like the off task and speaking with other students or you. And finally, the consequence would kind of be
Getting attention from me or her peers.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I think we got it. So going back to those goals from the previous week, we said that we wanted to get her down to only speaking with peers maybe once per independent work block. Based on what we know now from the data and everything we collected, do you think that's still possible?
Yeah, I actually feel a lot better about reaching that goal, knowing that like we now know that she like wants attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Identifying like the motivator is like a good way to get started on these things. So we're not stumbling around in the dark anymore, I guess. So that's great. I kind of feel the same way. I think once is a good number because most of the students just in the class have been observed to speak at least once or more during independent work. So getting her down to a similar level would be good.
Yeah, I think so. 0 would be pretty unreasonable for any kid, but
yeah,
it's also unnecessary to do it like 3 or 4 times.
Right. Especially when it's such a short period of time, that 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So perfect. I know it's getting late and you gotta go home.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll meet Monday and we'll create an intervention. I think I have a basic idea of what might work, and I really want your input on creating the best, like, personalized kind of intervention for Jill, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Hey, Tim. So last weekend, we got our data, and we determined that the main thing Jill gets out of talking with her peers and being off task is potentially attention, right?
Yeah. The kids give her a lot of attention, and I give her attention sometimes too by speaking to her about it.
Oh yeah, right afterwards. So, so that's right. Today we're gonna create an intervention, kind of using what she wants to replace that behavior, and then we'll do some collaborative training on it. Does that sound good?
Yeah. I'm glad we could put the data to work.
Yeah, I know, right? It's a lot of work, and I really appreciate the effort you put into this. It's clearly you care a lot about the success of the students in your class, and it really shows. Not only her, but all the students around her as well. So I wanted to, I wanted to let you know that what you had to say about providing that replacement for attention-seeking behavior. I had some questions about it. So.
Yeah, it sounds like we either have to ignore her or give her attention in another way.
Yeah, I mean, I came to a similar conclusion. My concern with ignoring the attention-seeking behavior is that like students would have to be on board too, and it is hard to put the responsibility on them. And you said you tried similar things before, and it hasn't really worked out, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I tried to
So
get those other students to ignore her, but
yeah, it's difficult. So it sounds like we want to teach Jill a more positive way to get attention and keep her on task. What do you think we should do?
Well, she responds well to me talking to her, but during independent time, that isn't appropriate.
Right. Yeah, I understand. We kind of need to find like a one-way window to give her attention, but like avoid stealing hers away from her work. Like not an open invite to just start a conversation.
Sure. Yeah. If we could do that, then that'd be great.
Yeah. So, and I remember you like maybe briefly mentioning it that you've used like praise before to keep her on task.
Yeah, I've tried to do things like that, but I haven't consistently done any kind of praise in like a systematic way or anything.
Okay.
Like when she does something good, you know, I'll give her a thumbs up or something, or
Yeah, just that confirmation, like good
say
job.
something nice.
Yeah. So I think we could actually turn that into an intervention.
No,
Have you heard of behavior specific praise?
not really. No.
So it's not too different. There are some key distinctions. So behavior specific praise is like kind of like that next step in praise, right?
Okay.
So it's a research and evidence based practice, and it's different from like a casual thumbs up or good job in a few ways. The goal is to increase the frequency of a behavior. So in our case, you'll want to praise Jill for doing her work and not conversing with peers. Um, and as long as it's immediate, specific, and frequent, it's effective in helping students with ADHD.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so and I know that might be confusing, so I'll show some examples, and hopefully it'll be easier to visualize.
Okay.
So let's see. For example, let's pretend I am the student, right? I'm Jill.
Okay. You're Joe.
And yeah, and it's currently independent work time. So, and you notice I'm on task and not talking to other students, which is what we want, right? We have to reinforce that with positive language and or praise, right? And make sure that they know exactly what they're doing well at the same time.
Okay, so this is where I would say like, oh, like, good job, Joe.
Yeah, except we want to specify that we're praising her for good on-task behavior. So,
Okay, so you want it to be like specific,
yeah,
like good job staying on task.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, good job, and then like include what she's doing good, like what's going on that she's getting that compliment for.
Okay.
So that's great. There's a few things that we really need to keep in mind. We want our praise to be behavior specific, effort based, immediate, and genuine.
Okay, I think I understand, but I might need some more examples. I don't want to say like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, including things like frequency could be good. For example, like saying, thanks for working hard and independently, and then saying something like, oh, this is the however many days in a row, like I haven't had to ask you whether that happens or not, I'm not sure. But even just saying, like, oh, I haven't had to ask you in like, I don't know, 15 minutes or something. That's really good of you, right?
Okay, that makes sense. This be more descriptive.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of description. Don't overthink it though. At its core, the intervention is still simple. I know you're very capable of doing this because, in our conversations, even you give similar feedback when discussing her to me. So it would just be telling her those things when she's doing things right, just like, oh, good job doing this. I really appreciate it, that kind of thing. Do you have any concerns?
Well, what if the other students feel like I'm singling Jill out? Like, what if Jill feels singled out?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really valid worry, right? One of the things that makes the intervention show great, though, is that you can use it with any of the students. Like, it's not necessarily like something that can only happen to her. So don't be too worried about giving too much praise or praising other students, so long as it's warranted. So if like another student near her, or really anyone, like you see them having outstanding behavior, make sure to tell them and go by the same structure, kind of that, like, oh, thanks for being on task, like that kind of thing. Um, and so I think the biggest concern is not praising Jill enough. So like every time she does something good, we want to be there and be immediate. Like, thanks for doing that. And if as long as that's followed, things should work out fine. And it is okay to use with other students too. It's not like it's a specific thing to the ADHD.
Oh, okay. I'll try to keep that in mind. Like, does it really work with all students?
Well, the research says that it does, but if you see any major problems occurring that we just didn't foresee, let me know, okay?
Okay.
We want to determine a frequency that's good for Jill. So, what's a like reasonable amount of praise per like minute, or I don't know, any kind of interval that you can give? Do you think?
I feel like if I overdo it,
Yeah.
it would be weird and too much. And
Mhm.
I also need to get my work done.
Right, right. You do. Yeah, you do your work during that 30-minute period. So, maybe I'll try to make. Oh yeah, sorry. That's fair. So like, let me think. Given what we discussed, how do you think we can get around that? Maybe.
Um, I don't know, maybe I could make a tally list of when she does things right, and then praise her when I get the chance.
Yeah, I understand how that might sound good, but the praise we give has to be specific and immediate, right? So it has to be like right after. If we delay, it won't really be as effective, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's why we're training, right? So, and let me think. To kind of work with that, maybe it can be like 2 to 5 times per 30-minute block. So similar to the amount of times that she's kind of speaking out and talking during that 30-minute block. We also want to be praising her for the time she's doing things right. That way you aren't like consistently hovering over her, and you can still get work done.
Okay, I can do that. 2 to 5.
And then one more thing, or another thing actually, that we need to decide is how long like constitutes praise. So if you had any ideas on that.
What do you mean? So like since the independent work lasts around 30 minutes.
Yeah. So like, what's like a good amount of time for her to be on task?
Every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So just so we're on the same page, do you mind summarizing our intervention?
Sure. So we're gonna praise Joe about specific behaviors.
Right.
Right after she does them.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be immediate.
Mm-hmm.
5 times within our 30-minute block of independent work.
Right.
And mostly about staying on task, not talking to other students.
Yeah, exactly. Those are our two goals. Yeah. So yeah, 2 to 5 times should be good. One last thing. We discovered that she likes your attention, whether it's negative or positive, right?
Yeah, I think she enjoys the one-on-one talks, even if they're negative.
Great. So one additional part we should include is avoiding giving her attention for behavior she's not supposed to do. And now I know what you're thinking. Like we can't just ignore her while she talks to the whole class, right? And you're absolutely right. We still have to stop her and redirect her to a certain extent. However, what we can try is giving more attention to the positive and as minimal like amount of attention as we can to the negative. So let's try a few examples if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say pretend I'm Jill again.
You're good.
I'm currently working on my assignment and not talking. So what would you do?
I would immediately tell you, thanks for, hey, thanks for working on that assignment so quietly. You're doing a great job today.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. But then a few minutes later, I start talking to a student.
Let's see. I guess maybe I could give the whole class I would probably give the whole class a reminder first, like, hey, no one should be talking right now.
Yeah, that seems appropriate. It's kind of minimizing the full attention on her, but also getting her redirected. I think that's a good idea. And then what if she tells you, she speaks up and she goes, oh, well, I just had a question to ask, so that's why I was talking to my friend.
I'm not sure. Like, I guess I thought you should be asking, like, raising your hand and like asking me instead.
Yeah, that's great. So tell her that if she has like a question, she should raise her hand and ask you, right? Not her classmates. And then when she raises her hand to ask you the question, what should you do?
Thanks for raising your hand. Like, I really appreciate you coming to me with your question instead of disrupting other people.
Yeah, exactly. Just being very specific with that praise again, and then yeah, we want her to raise her hands, talk to her classmates. Yeah, that's perfect. Um, let's see. Like, let's say I have my question answered, and then I start working again for 5 to 10 minutes. What should you do during that time?
I'd say thanks for getting back on task, Joe. Like, I really appreciate it.
Right. And what if I'm working on a task but also talking to a student?
Yeah, I guess I could say thank you for working on your assignment. Like, remember to that this is individual work, so we have to be quiet.
Great. That sounds good. I'd also like to suggest praising her in front of the class. So something like, every once in a while, I want to highlight Jill for staying so focused today. She's setting a great example, everyone. And then maybe, no, whatever. Hey, everyone give applause to Jill. Oh, yay. Right?
Well, won't that seem a bit weird or strange?
Yeah, specifically that if it's done multiple times, yes. Probably come off as kind of odd. But you can also praise other students in the class in the same way, and kind of show her and the rest of the class those behaviors, like being on task and being quiet during that 30-minute period, get you attention, right? Saying you get recognized for doing good things.
Okay. I guess if it were me, I'd be kind of embarrassed if that happened to me.
That's fair, but yeah, I think so far, from what I understand, the research supports that even if they do get embarrassed, their ability or their the behaviors still improve. I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
I see. I'll try my best.
Okay. So one last summary. It's okay if you have to write it down. And that way you can have it with you when you're in class. So our plan is to praise her for staying on task or avoiding conversation. And we give minimal attention when she breaks either of those rules. And the praise has to be immediate, specific, and effortful. And email me if anything major comes up. I'll be collecting data on how well our intervention is going after a few days, coming in for direct observations, more of the same, but now tracking this intervention. And I'll go in a few days before we start our intervention, so then we have kind of this baseline to compare it to also.
Okay.
So how confident are you in implementing this intervention? Maybe a scale of 1 to 10.
10, maybe 7.5, maybe 8.
Okay.
I feel like the training really helped me feel better.
Okay. Is there a reason why it isn't quite a 9 or 10 maybe?
Well, it's about an 8 because I feel good about it and I understand it, but it's a 10 because I don't know, I just haven't done it in the field yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Of course.
It might make sense now, but
yeah, and the next time we'll meet, I'll give whatever kind of feedback I can, constructive feedback, and we'll work on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. I'll start next class.
Okay. Sounds good. So, I don't have a lot on my caseload right now, and the MTSS process at the school is really, really good.
Oh.
So I can come in every day before then, and I'll get some baseline data. Anyways, we'll meet again for a brief check-in at the end of next week, if that's okay with you. Should be about 1 week of intervention. That way we have some data. What about 3 p.m. on that Wednesday? I think it's a minimum day. Would that work for you?
Yeah, that works for me. Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no, thanks for your help. We're figuring this out together, right?